Today is Monday, January 24th, and here's our plans for the day. All right, so we're going to do a review of week 2 before we check our pre-labs for today's labs, and then we'll go over the tips, lab tips on the next slide, and then do the dilutions and solutions and dilutions lab, which is due on Thursday. As a reminder, there is a quiz tomorrow on everything that we've done so far. So molarity, dilutions, neutralizations, and electrolytes. So everything through Friday will be tomorrow. And then we plan on testing February 15th and 16th at this point. All right, we are going to go down to our module and take a look at our review for week 2 and our major takeaways. All right, so our takeaways for today. Let me change this because it's going to keep jumping on me. There we go. All right, so we began the week with molarity, and molarity is the concentration of solute dissolved in a given amount of solution. The solute's usually a solid, it doesn't have to be, but generally it is. And then the solvent typically is water, although it could be something else depending on what we're trying to dissolve. Molarity, big M, capital M, is equal to the numbers of moles of solute divided by liters of solution. To make a solution, and this is what you're going to be doing in the lab today, you're going to add solute to water and then increase the water to the needed amount of solution. So you'll take a certain amount of water, put that in your graduated cylinder, add your solid, and then increase the water until you get your total amount of solution that's needed. Next thing we did was talk about dilutions. So we dilute solutions because generally we get stock solutions we begin with. It's just cheaper, it's easier, and then it gives us the availability to make all sorts of different concentrations. So dilution is reducing a concentration of the chemical solution. When we dilute, especially with acids and bases, we always dilute by adding to water, not the other way around. We add to water because water has a high enough heat capacity that can absorb the heat that's produced when we go to make a dilution. Dilution equation is M1V1 equals M2V2. M stands for the molarity of the solution. V is the volume of the solution, and the units can be liters or milliliters. It doesn't matter as long as your units match in your equation. All right, then we did acids, bases, and neutralizations. So acids, any compound that is able to ionize and form a hydrogen ion. Therefore, there is an increase of H plus ions. The more H plus ions, the higher the molarity, the more dangerous. Bases are any substance that is able to accept or react with hydrogen ions. They produce hydroxide ions when dissolved in water. Therefore, they usually end in hydroxide. Ammonia, NH3, is our exception to that. Salts, any compound whose cation comes from a base and anion comes from an acid. And then neutralization is a reaction where an acid and a base are mixed to make salt and water, of course, which is harmless. All right. And then finally, at the end of the week, we looked at electrolytes, biggest things with takeaways with electrolytes. And electrolyte is a solute that exists as ions in solution. These will conduct electricity. If it's a non-electrolyte, the solute did not dissolve, which means it's not going to conduct electricity. So with a non-electrolyte, the solute does not separate into ions, not that it doesn't dissolve. Sugar will dissolve in water, but it will break apart into its individual molecules, not into separate ions. So it will dissolve, but sugar is not an electrolyte. Strong electrolyte is any substance that exists nearly all as ions in solution. This would be most ionic compounds. Weak electrolytes are compounds that only partially ionize in solution. There's a set of rules that you need to remember. These are on page 22 in your packet. It's really typed up 4 times, so you can cut out one of those slips of paper for kind of easy access use until you memorize it all. So most salts are strong electrolytes. most acids are weak electrolytes, with the exception of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 acids, which you would need to memorize. Bases are made with hydroxides. Either group 1 or group 2 metals are strong. Ammonia, NH3, is a weak one, and most substances are non-electrolytes. So again, this is on page 22 for you to use. All right. So now we're going to go to our lab next. Okay. So the instructions are that the pre-lab needs to be completed before going into into the lab. If you're absent, you're going to watch the video below, and the lab video is right here. It's gonna you'll find it on YouTube. So click on that, and then you'll collect the data from all of that. Okay. Once you're done, you should be able to answer the questions and then submit. And you can see the rubric is here, and how many points are given for each question, and how it will be graded. So you can see it's 30 points. This is due, I believe, when did I say, on Thursday, or due the 26th at midnight. So that's Wednesday. All right. If you have any questions, let me know. Happy Monday.